So Apple did its usual thing of announcing 6 metric tons of new features for the Mac, for the iPhone, for the iPad and more. But I offer that what it really did was announce one single feature. I think it's about changing us so that instead of you and I having to think about apps and features to do things, we can instead think about what we need to get done and have it done for us. There are also the new and improved writing tools, but yeah, no, let's you and I rush to have Siri rewrite it so that we sound like everybody else. Yeah, but this business, I'm serious about this is business of tasks instead of apps. That isn't about writing, but I think it is going to be good for you and I as writers. Hello, I'm William Gallagher, and this is 58 Keys, which, as ever, as always, is for writers. Writers like you and me who use and who write on Macs and iPhones and iPads, and officially, this time, we're talking about all of those, plus the Apple Watch, the Apple Vision Pro headset thing, apparently even the Apple TV set-top box somewhere. Do subscribe, like, or patronize, please, while we talk. Although, actually, I don't think this is going to take as long as all that sounds, because, as I say, I think really at heart there is just this one thing behind it all. Let me give you a couple of examples. For instance, right, as it happens, I'm going to see Dar Williams in concert sometime later this year, and up to now, well, I might think of my calendar first. I might open the calendar, search for when is it, and then I might worry about where the tickets are. I'm not saying I do this every time. I do this every time. So the next thing I do once I've found the date is I will maybe open the wallet app, possibly, or perhaps just gingerly open mail and try searching through all of that. Once all of this is out, once all of Apple's newly announced features are out and in use in public, what I will be able to do instead is just ask Siri, when's the concert and where are my tickets? It will go to check my calendar, it will search my mail and wallet and whatever else, and it will then just show me the answers. So instead of my thinking about the calendar, instead of my thinking about apps, I think about what I want to know. I think about the task. I also actually think that might take some getting used to. I'm so trained. Is this you as well? Trained to start with the app. I want to do this. This is the app. But even now, actually, it's a few hours into using the developer test version, as it happens, an incomplete version. I'm still waiting for various bits. I'm already certain this is a better way. I think it's obviously a better way of doing things. And while, yeah, okay, it is all being done by AI. How long did that take to mention? It's not me launching some AI app and giving it my personal data. It's my thinking of the concert I've booked to go to. The task, not the steps. The task I want to do, the result I want to find out, not the AI tool that's doing it. Well, there's this. I like this too. I have passwords to hundreds of websites, and same as you, I regularly get warnings that this one or that one or these 10 have been compromised in some hack thing. The site's been hacked and passwords have been stolen. And I know I should change them, update your passwords, all this stuff, but I kind of put it off. Please don't hack me. Now, when you get a warning that 5 sites have been compromised, you'll be able to just press one button that basically says, yeah, get on with it, deal with it. Without you or I then doing anything more, Siri and Safari will go into each of those sites, log into them, change the password, do all that verification stuff, make it something new, and then save that new password for you. So the next time you go to the site, it just logs in and everything's fine. I don't have to think about the passwords app. I certainly don't have to think about 5 different websites logging in and out. I just know I need to be more secure, so I am. So what Apple really showed us with its latest WWDC announcement is that, and I think just that, the task rather than the apps, although, okay, it did show us this across myriad examples, some of which look spectacular, and some of which might actually be spectacular. I mean, actually, I think like that passwords example, like the concert one, things you will actually do, things you will actually use. But there is much that I can and much that I want to show you with a specific example of getting Siri to do something for me. So it's a very specific example, but in this case, we're going to use shortcuts. Now, I'm a fan of shortcuts on all the Apple devices. I've been using it for years. I've written hundreds of them. I actually don't think I'm ever going to use it in the same way again. Okay, follow. Example. When I produce the Apple Insider podcast, I make notes on the way through of when chapters should be. I've automated. I press a button, it does a time thing. When is there something that might need an edit? All sorts of things. And I end up with this list of times. And up to now, it's always been a record of how many minutes into the recording something is. I find it embarrassingly hard to see that 89 minutes is actually... I just did it again. I had to do 89 minus 60, 1 hour, 29 minutes. And I have often tried to write a shortcut that will change 89 minutes to 1 hour, 29 minutes. Tried and failed. Actually, and I don't know why. I just couldn't do it. Maybe you could, but I couldn't. Except now. Now, if you open shortcuts, you get a new shortcut button at the bottom. And when you tap that, it asks you what you want. So I could, and I did say, take a list that includes times in minutes and seconds and convert them to hours, minutes, and seconds. Let me copy an old list, paste it in, and there it is. Now, okay, that's not actually all as useful as I thought it was going to be, because I don't like the double times there, but I can describe a change. In the end, I should describe several, such as, what did I go for? Show the time in the format HH:/MM:SS. And then, because I actually want to use result somewhere, I want to paste it back into where I got the list from, copy the finished results to the clipboard. And it did it all for me. And now I can take that list of mine, I can run it through the shortcut, I can paste it back to the updated list and get on with the edits, and just find it easier to manage. All of that took 8 minutes to go from the idea to a finished, working, tested shortcut that I will now use, once a week. Because it was about thinking of what I wanted to do. I was going to say not one app, but in this case, actually not which specific shortcut actions I needed to do it. Most of this will be across iPhones, Macs, and the like from September, although not everything, and not totally clear where the line is here, but Apple says later this year for some of it. Much of it is already on the test versions that developers should install, and no one else should, but you knew that, and I'm not judging. All of this uses the new Siri AI, and all of it works to use what you and I already have on our iPhone, a Mac, or iPad, and so on. And it uses all of that privately. It searches your emails, yeah, but when you want it to, and it doesn't pass that data on to anything else. It also has that AI thing of, well, Apple calls it world knowledge. So if you must, you can ask what the latest football score is or something, and Siri will go off and find out for you. Okay, that's interesting. I don't know how accurate those results are going to be. I mean, hopefully a lot, but Google, for example, screams about its AI features and their brilliance, and then more quietly admits that a third of the answers are wrong. With Apple, I can already see that some of its photography features, for example, are maybe a bit overblown, a bit optimistic, should we say. Although there's a very good fact that in a different way, Apple is still trying to avoid you and I having to think about separate apps. So visual intelligence, for instance, the feature that means you can take a photo of a lampshade or something and have Siri tell you it's a lampshade, or show you where to buy it. Yeah, I mean, I think that's been very good, but it has been this separate thing. And you got into visual intelligence in slightly different ways depending on which iPhone you had. And it wasn't on the Mac. Now on the iPhone, you can go take a photo as normal, but there you are in the camera. You can instead say, oi, what is this? It isn't a separate feature you have to go for anymore. It's right where you are when you want to do something. And Apple, I said it wasn't on the Mac before, Apple says that with a keystroke on the Mac, you can select a section of your Mac screen and do the same to that. Now, as we speak, I can't test that out yet, but I already know if that works, it is going to be a boon for research. And then, well, this is less about writing, a bit more about the business of writing. In Photos, right, you can now extend the background. So, For example, here's a particularly naff concert photo I took from a very long way. This one is of Midjour at Birmingham's Symphony Hall, if you're keeping track of my concert going. And as before, as ever, I can remove an item like that, but I can also extend the photo. Maybe not a brilliant example here, but Siri AI can add in a fake extra background. So if I'm doing an illustration for an article, for instance, well, I can take a shot I've got of the subject and I can stretch out the image to give me room to add headline text. Now, I know that's generative AI. I also know I don't care. I need this, it does it. I don't have to go run ChatGPT or even think about what tool to use. This is what I want and it does it, which is all very good. And it does work. I can already see that it does work and that I will use it. Whereas, yeah, some of the more spectacular examples of photo editing that Apple showed, yeah, not so much. The reported ability, for example, to move people around in the photo as if you took the shot a little to the left or the right. Well, let's say that's in progress. Okay. Plus, photos can work with the newly improved image playground, which will use AI to make your images rubbish. Do I want to admit this? I took a photograph of myself, and for some reason I said, make me look younger. If you remember Star Trek Deep Space Nine, the end result was I looked like Odo. It's like this plastic, featureless face. Image playground then, that's still a toy. But extending the backgrounds, changing passwords, creating shortcuts for me, this is all the kind of get on with it that I like about this. And this is all excellent. And speaking of excellent, there is one more overall example that I think is potentially a boon for you and I as writers. Now, I am not saying that writers are disorganized, and I am definitely not saying that we go down rabbit holes, but I'm not saying it because I don't need to, because you already know we do. Face it, William. This time, Safari, Apple's web browser, has a few new things to help, such as with tabs. Now, if you want it to, Safari will keep track of the tabs you open onto different sites, and if, say, I don't know, 5 of them are to do with hotels for some reason, it will group the lot under the topic of hotels. I just produced a book for a young writers group, and it meant using Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing KDP thing, and somehow, checking, who knows why, I ended up with 6 tabs just to do with that. Safari would have just gone, yeah, group them together under one. So you no longer have, the ceaseless parade of tiny tab icons of things that got small. You can see where you need to go for all of the bits that you want to do in that topic, that section. Plus, Safari can now tell you when a site has been updated, so you don't have to leave the tab open at all. You don't have to separately keep going back to check it yourself. You just tell Safari, let me know, and Safari will notify you when something changes on that page. And while this is the one, actually, honestly, this is the one I understand least, especially as I wait to test out everything, Safari will also let you act on information on a site through what Apple calls design and extension. You may well know this better than me. Extensions are little tools in web browsers. I do use one. I use one that, with a click, will send an article I'm reading off to a Read It Later app, for example. But now, apparently, I will be able to tell Safari to make me such an extension. And the example given was that you could say, create an extension that saves recipes from a food site you're on. But again, it's a change in how we think about what we do. And again, I believe that's really what's come out of WWDC 2026. Forget the list of features. Remember that I think it's all about the deeper issue of having our devices doing more for us so that we can get on with our writing. It was a weird WWDC though. I'm a Mac fan in particular, so when they started off by talking about the Mac, I was up for that. And then in seconds, they weren't talking about the Mac at all. They were talking about the iPhone. And okay, at first I thought, yeah, fine. Basically, that means Apple has bugger all for the Mac this year. But then I realized over time, it's actually because all of these devices are getting all of these features. They're blurring together a bit more. And if we won't really know what works and what doesn't for a time yet, what we can already see working is enough to make me actually rather excited for the Mac, the iPhone, the iPad, for the future of all of these devices. They could just lose writing tools. I'd be okay with that. Listen, I think you and I might possibly be coming back to this topic a lot over the next year, and particularly in the next few months as the beta test versions evolve. But for now, that's it for this edition of 58 Keys. Thank you very much for watching. Now take care of yourself, eh? Write more. You, not Siri, you're the writer. You do the writing. More of it, please. And I'll see you soon.